Resuming debate, that concludes this time slot. Resuming debate, the honourable member for Parkdale-High Park.
Go Habs, go! Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so let me change the topic slightly. Does the minister agree that gender considerations should be integrated into all aspects of the budgetary process?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Chairman, we do integrate them into the budgetary process.
The Honourable Member.
Well, does Finance Canada evaluate the department's gender-based analysis practices, and is it available publicly?
The Honourable Minister.
Is it available? Mr. Chairman, we do generate the analysis. I'm not certain of the full publication. I can get back to the honourable member on that.
The honourable member.
Appreciate you getting back to us on that. Thank you. The Auditor General's found that senior staff and policy analysts at Finance Canada lacked gender-based analysis training. How many senior staff and policy analysts have been trained since the audit?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
I can't hear you. Well, apparently, I don't have the number, but I know that this training is available to all the staff.
The Honourable Member.
Okay, so something's happening. We're not sure. Does Finance Canada regularly conduct a gender-based analysis on new and current tax measures, and is that available publicly?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
I'll have to get back to the member on that question.
The Honourable Member.
If it helps, the government has said that departments and agencies are required to include gender-based analysis in the development of new spending measures. So hopefully that is available publicly. Now, in April 2011, the government proposed an income splitting program estimated at a cost of $3 billion. Does the minister believe this is the best use of federal taxpayer dollars, since income splitting would benefit at most 16% of Canadians, and they would be the richest 16% of Canadians, while costing 100% of Canadians in lost services? And secondly, has the minister conducted a gender analysis of this program?
Very good question. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as I said in response to numerous questions on this subject, the Prime Minister has said, and I have said, that income splitting is good for seniors. It can be good for families, and we will await the budget for the details. But I should point out that since 2006, our government has introduced a number of broad-based tax relief measures from which families are benefiting. They include reducing the GST, increasing the amount that Canadians can earn without paying federal income tax, reducing the lowest personal tax rate to 15%, introducing the new tax-free savings accounts, and low-income families and individuals are also benefiting from measures to increase and enhance benefits through our tax system, including the universal child care benefit, introducing and enhancing the workers' income tax benefit, increasing the income under the national child care benefit, and others.
The Honourable Member. And just if I could also remind the Minister, if he could be mindful, I'll give him a cue when he's approaching the end of his time. The Honourable Member.
But I would assume that this government is going to conduct a gender analysis of a program that they're thinking of introducing, one that apparently does not benefit 84% of Canadians, so we look forward to that. Does the minister know how many jobs have been lost, or how much unemployment has increased in Ontario in the last year? Let me just clarify. Does the minister know how much unemployment has increased in Ontario in the last year? How many jobs have we lost?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
The first thing I'd like to do is to answer an implied question earlier raised in respect to the income splitting, which we've discussed. All measures are analyzed for gender balance, as I've said before. So, in respect to the labour market, it's important to get the facts straight. Canada's posted one of the strongest job creation records in the G7 over the economy. The majority of the jobs have been full-time, private sector positions in high-wage industries. And while labour market data are volatile, it's important to look at the longer-term trend, and they're very positive.
The honourable member.
Well, and the number that he's looking for, Mr. Chair, is 11,400 jobs. This is how many jobs were lost in Ontario last year. That's some record. Will the minister admit this is a troubling indication of stalled and even a slipping recovery in his home province? Will he at least admit that?
Excellent. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
The province of Ontario numbers are lagging other parts of the country, and clearly Canada cannot reach its full potential if its largest province is struggling. We believe that the economic recovery is continuing apace, and we think that with sound fiscal policies that can continue in Ontario as well.
The honourable member.
More than 11,000 families now without jobs. Does the minister, who's also the minister for the GTA, know that the City of Toronto reported that unemployment increased to 9.2% last month? Does the minister consider this to be acceptable in Canada's largest city?
Excellent question.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, this government is continuing to introduce policies, including tax policies and infrastructure initiatives that will be building employment right across the country. Toronto is, of course, an economic engine, not only for Ontario, but for the entire country. It's got a vibrant financial services sector, which is doing very well, and we would like to see all Torontonians benefit, and we would like to see policies adopted in Ontario which focus on job creation.
The honourable member.
Well, even Bay Street doesn't seem to be helping because unemployment is increasing in the City of Toronto. Now, does the minister know by how much temporary jobs have increased since the end of the 90s in the Toronto Census metropolitan area, that is the Toronto area? Does he know by how much temporary jobs have increased, say since 1997, before the recession?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
The first point I guess I'd like to correct here is that the unemployment rate in Toronto is now at 7.5%, down from its recession high of 10.2% in June 2002. The long-term unemployment rate, the share of the labour force unemployed for 27 weeks or more, has fallen by 1/4 from its peak during the recession. It's now below its long-term historic average.
The Honourable Member for Parkdale-High Park.
So we can duel on unemployment numbers. I can tell you unemployment is up in the City of Toronto, and you didn't answer my question. And my question is, do you know by how much temporary jobs have increased in Toronto since 1997?
Good question.
Remind all the members to direct their questions to the chair rather than directly at the minister. The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have the specific number for Canada. For Toronto, I can say for Canada that full-time employment is at 87%. High wage, a million jobs were created. There's almost $18 million, 18 million people employed. 87% are full-time. 64% at high-wage industries, 83% in the private sector. And if the member opposite needs specific numbers by city or by region, we can provide that to the extent they're available.
The honourable member.
Well, the number is actually 40%. What? Temporary jobs have increased by 40% over about the last 20 years, less than that, 15 years. Does the minister really think that increasingly shifting to part-time and precarious work is an acceptable replacement for full-time jobs?
Excellent question, Peggy.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
As I've said, Mr. Chairman, the bulk of the jobs are in fact full-time. The majority of the jobs are in the private sector. The majority of the jobs are high-wage jobs, and we're very pleased about that. And we think that is proof of the resilience of the Canadian economy.
The Honourable Member.
Well, that's simply ridiculous and illogical. It just simply is not the case. And, you know, I would love to dig down into these numbers, but I have such limited time, Mr. Chair. I need to move on to another topic, but it's ridiculous to say that most of the jobs being created are high-wage, permanent, long-term jobs. It's simply not the case. Let me turn to the issue of infrastructure. Downloading by Liberal and Conservative governments has led our cities to the point of crisis. Does the minister know the current infrastructure deficit?
Very good question.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
The infrastructure investing in Canada creates jobs, it promotes economic growth, it provides a high quality of life for families in every city and community across the country. And a recognition of the importance of efficient public infrastructure for Canada's economic prosperity and quality of life, our government has made significant investments since 2006 to build roads, bridges, subways, rail, and much more. Indeed, under the $33 billion Building Canada plan launched in 2007, we supported over 12,000 infrastructure projects across the country. And furthermore, last year our government announced the new Building Canada plan, a $53 billion investment in predictable infrastructure funding for the next 10 years, the largest and longest federal investment in job-creating infrastructure in Canadian history.
In anticipation of a concern, just to remind the previous question was 40 seconds and the answer was 104, so it was a bit long, but I would remind all participants to work together. The Honourable Member for Parkdale-High Park.
Yeah, the answer also had nothing to do with the question. My question was, does he know how much the infrastructure deficit is? And either he doesn't know or he doesn't care to say. Exactly. So let me help him out. The answer is at least $170 billion, which is a pretty big number. I think even he would agree. And so let me ask him, what reduction of infrastructure plan funding did Budget 2013 announce for the subsequent 5 years?
Good question. Good question.
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, we have in 2013 announced the new Building Canada plan, a $53 billion investment. And our government has supported an additional 30,000 infrastructure projects through the stimulus phase of the Economic Action Plan. We've provided increased and ongoing support through the Gas Tax Fund, first doubling its size to $2 billion a year, making it permanent, indexing it at 2% per year. We provided over $9 billion to First Nations communities to build, operate, maintain, and renovate community infrastructure on reserves, $1.7 billion annually for close to 600,000 households on and off reserves across Canada. And because I don't have enough time, I can't list all the additional programs.
The Honourable Member.
Well, once again, unfortunately, my question was not answered. My question was, what did the 2013 budget announce in a reduction of infrastructure spending for the next 5 years? The answer was a $5.8 billion cut over the next 5 years compared with the 2012-2013 funding levels. Yes, they announced funding for the future way down the road when they will no longer be the government, but for the time now, they actually announced a cut. So let me ask another question. Does the minister know the cost of gridlock in the city of Toronto, the city that he's also the minister for?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
I don't have the cost of traffic jams in Toronto, but we'll hear from the honourable member, perhaps.
This concludes this round. Resuming debate